90 kilometers north of Berlin stands a place designed for one purpose: the systematic destruction of women, not through immediate execution like other Nazi death camps, but through something arguably worse: slow annihilation through labour, medical torture, and deliberate erasure of identity. Ravensbrück concentration camp opened in May 1939, and over the next 6 years, more than 130,000 women from across occupied Europe would pass through its gates. Most would never leave. The journey there began in darkness, cattle cars packed so tightly that women stood for days without food or water. The stench of human waste filled the air as trains rattled toward northern Germany. When the doors finally opened at Fürstenberg station, SS guards and their dogs were waiting. The screaming started immediately. Guards shouting contradictory orders, dogs snarling, women stumbling from the cars after days of standing. This chaos wasn't accidental, it was calculated. Polish political prisoner Wanda Potawska, arrested in 1941, later described it as a deliberate assault on the senses designed to break women before they even entered the camp. What happened next was methodical erasure. Everything that defined these women as individuals was stripped away in stages. First, their belongings: suitcases, photographs, letters from home, all confiscated and catalogued. Prisoners were told they'd get them back. They never did. Then came the head shaving. Prisoner barbers worked under SS supervision, clippers moving across scalp after scalp as hair fell in growing piles. French resistance fighter Germaine Tillion survived to become a renowned ethnologist. She wrote that the shaving served no hygienic purpose. Its sole function was humiliation. Transform distinct women into identical figures stripped of the last physical marker of their individuality. The showers followed. Not cleansing, but another form of degradation. Ice-cold water and harsh disinfectant chemicals that burned the skin. SS female guards, the Aufseherinnen, supervised with deliberate cruelty. Dorothea Binz, one of the most notorious guards at Ravensbrück, reportedly struck prisoners during this process for the smallest perceived infractions. A woman moving too slowly, another not standing straight enough. The reasons didn't matter. The violence was the point. After the showers came the uniform. Striped prison dress marked with a coloured triangle sewn onto the fabric. Red for political prisoners, green for criminals. Purple for Jehovah's Witnesses, black for those the Nazis deemed asocial, yellow for Jews. These triangles announced to everyone what crime had brought you here, though for most women, the only crime was being in the wrong place when the Reich decided you were an enemy. But identity wasn't fully erased until the number. Each woman received a registration number that replaced her name in all official records. This number was sewn onto the uniform, sometimes tattooed onto skin. Geneviève de Gaulle, niece of Charles de Gaulle, was arrested for her resistance work in France. At Ravensbrück, she became prisoner number 27,372. Not a person with history, family or future. A unit of labour to be exploited until collapse or death. From that first moment through the gates, Ravensbrück operated on a simple principle. Women weren't prisoners serving sentences. They were resources to be consumed. The camp's layout reflected this philosophy. Living barracks arranged in neat rows, workshops and factories positioned for maximum efficiency. And at the centre, the roll call square where the real torture began each morning at 4:30. What the SS designed next went beyond standard imprisonment. They created a system where work itself became the primary weapon of destruction. The bell rang at 4:30 every morning. Women dragged themselves from wooden bunks and assembled in the central square for roll call. Appell, the Germans called it. Standing in formation regardless of weather. Northern German winters brought temperatures well below freezing. Yet prisoners stood in thin striped uniforms while guards counted, and recounted, and counted again. These weren't just attendance checks, they were deliberate torture. If the numbers didn't match, if someone had died overnight, if a single woman was unaccounted for, everyone stood until the discrepancy was resolved. 4 hours, 5, sometimes 6. Women collapsed where they stood. Guards struck those who fell. After roll call came work assignments. Siemens, the industrial conglomerate, operated a factory inside Ravensbrück where women assembled electrical components for German weapons. The work required precision and speed. Prisoners laboured on starvation rations in workshops without heat. Miss your production quota and you faced beatings, or reassignment to something worse, The textile workshop ran 12-hour shifts. Women sewed SS uniforms and repaired military clothing until their fingers bled from needle punctures and frostbite. Camp leadership cared only about output. Survival was irrelevant. But one assignment terrified prisoners more than any other: the Sand Commando. Women in this detail dug sand and gravel from pits near the camp, loaded it onto carts, hauled it to construction sites. The work never ended. Austrian economist Käthe Leichter, a prominent women's rights activist, was assigned to this commando despite being in her 50s. She didn't survive. The Sand Commando had among the highest mortality rates in the entire camp. Women collapsed from exhaustion. If they couldn't rise, guards beat them where they lay. Then in summer 1942, something new arrived. German military doctors, authorized directly by Himmler, began conducting medical experiments on healthy prisoners. Young Polish women arrested for resistance work became their primary subjects. These women gave themselves a nickname, the Rabbits, because they were treated exactly like laboratory animals. The experiments supposedly simulated battlefield wounds to test treatments. SS doctors Karl Gebhardt and Fritz Fischer made surgical cuts in women's legs. They inserted wood splinters, glass fragments, bacteria to induce infections. They fractured bones, removed them entirely. The official goal was studying infection and testing sulfonamide drugs. The reality was torture disguised as science. Surgeries happened without proper anesthesia. Post-operative care was deliberately inadequate. Władysława Karolewska testified after the war that doctors cut open her leg, inserted bacteria, then forced her to walk on the injured limb. The pain was unbearable, the wounds turned gangrenous. Many women suffered permanent disabilities, shortened legs, destroyed muscles, chronic pain for the rest of their lives. 86 Polish women endured these procedures. 15 died from the operations or subsequent infections. Those who survived did so through extraordinary resilience and support from fellow prisoners who shared food, changed dressings, provided comfort against systematic brutality. When rumours spread in early 1945 that the SS planned to execute surviving rabbits to eliminate witnesses, the women launched desperate resistance. Several hid in other barracks, protected by prisoners from various nationalities who risked their lives. Others too weak to move were hidden by camp doctors who falsified records. This collective defiance saved lives and ensured testimony about these crimes would reach post-war tribunals. Behind the crematorium, concealed by a wooden fence, lay the execution ground. Here thousands of women were murdered by gunshot, lethal injection, hanging. The SS called it special treatment, a bureaucratic phrase masking industrial-scale killing that accelerated dramatically as Nazi defeat became inevitable. Commandant Fritz Suren ordered systematic murders to reduce witnesses. Women were called from barracks with promises of medical examinations or work transfers. Instead, they were led to execution areas, forced to strip, shot in the neck. Bodies went immediately to the crematorium, ashes dumped in the nearby lake. In January 1945, a gas chamber began operations, or a converted storage building where 150 women at a time were killed with Zyklon B gas. Between 5,000 and 6,000 women died there in the final months. Among the executed were French resistance members, Polish underground fighters, Soviet prisoners of war, Violette Szabo, British Special Operations agent shot in February 1945, Olga Benario, German communist who'd fought in Brazil, murdered in 1942. Women representing resistance the Nazis could never fully crush. Even as executions continued, defiance persisted. French resistance fighter Marie-Claude Vaillant-Couturier organised clandestine ceremonies where surviving women sang forbidden national anthems and recited poetry, brief moments preserving dignity against systematic extermination. April 1945, Soviet forces approached. The SS abandoned Ravensbrück. Prisoners too weak to walk were left behind. Thousands of others forced on death marches toward other camps. When the Red Army liberated Ravensbrück on April 30th, they found approximately 3,000 survivors, many barely alive. The full accounting remains incomplete. Official estimates suggest that of 130,000 women imprisoned at Ravensbrück, between 30 and 50,000 died from execution, medical experimentation, disease, starvation, forced labour. Each number represents a name erased, an identity stolen, a life deliberately destroyed. The Nazi regime built Ravensbrück to break women through systematic cruelty. Yet the camp also witnessed extraordinary courage. Survivors left testimonies proving that totalitarian systems can never fully extinguish the human capacity for resistance, solidarity, preservation of truth. Their voices demand we never look away from what humanity can inflict upon itself.